Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do another Christmas DIY, Farmhouse large candy canes. And we're going to use two of these yard candy canes. Now they didn't come out at my Dollar Tree yet. I got these two from Walmart, two pool noodles. This is white burlap from the Dollar Tree, or you can use natural color burlap as well as red burlap. And if you want to paint your natural burlap, I will tell you the spray paint didn't work, but the apple barrel did. And then of course you need glue and then the scissor. Okay. So the first thing is, I wanted to show you that these were 98 cents, I think, at Walmart, and that's their everyday regular price. They just didn't come out at my Dollar Tree yet, so I picked two up at Walmart. But you guys have seen these all over. And what you're just going to do is you're going to start with the long end of the candy cane, and we're just going to push the pool noodle onto the candy cane. I know that sounds like, really, Jerry, really? But we're just going to use the candy cane to help keep the shape of the pool noodle, to help the pool noodle keep its shape. And I'll show you a couple of tricks that we can do along the way as well. And I just used the second candy cane to lay on top so that I can measure how long it is, just to cut off the end. If you want to make yours longer, with the second candy cane that I ended up doing, because usually I'll show you two different ways, I ended up pushing the candy cane, the pool noodle through extra. And what it is it makes that bend a little bit more cane-esque at the top. That sounds weird, but you'll see when I'm done. And now this one, we're going to wrap in the white burlap from Walmart. This burlap is $3.47. I didn't use the whole roll. And what I'm doing here is I'm cutting it in half widthways. I did try to wrap this with its full width, and it just doesn't make a really tight corner. It doesn't really bend around the top of the candy cane very well. But I wanted to, now that you watched me cut this in half, I want to just talk to you guys about this form. So this is now a foam pool noodle that is in the shape of a candy cane. So any kind of craft that you would do with a foam wreath form, you could pretty much do onto this candy cane. All right, so I just wanted to show you really quick how we're going to cover the ends first. I've taken a little piece that is left over from what I didn't cut in half, because I didn't use the whole thing. I used just about 12 feet, because that's what it was going to be with the Dollar Tree material as well. Then I cut the rest. I cut the little end off, and I sort of made like a slip cover for it. That's not the right words, but you know what I'm saying. And I did this with 2 layers. I did it with 2 layers just because when I wrap the candy cane, it'll end up being like a double layer because, you know, it's wrapped over itself. And I wanted none of the green to show through. So when it came to the end pieces, I put 2 pieces, and I basically just put a bunch of hot glue down onto the end of the candy cane and laid it onto the 2 pieces of burlap, and I just let them sit till they were cooled off. And then once they were cooled off to handle, I sort of trimmed around and glued the sides down. I just trimmed up towards the circle to make like little triangle tabs so that they would lay flat without the 1,000 bumps that you would get if you just laid this flat. And then once I had that, that's where I started to wrap. And this, we've wrapped stuff lots of times, guys. Because you want to wrap this at a little bit of an angle, you want to start it at a little bit of an angle. And it just wraps around. Actually, I didn't start this at an angle because I started this at the other tip. So if you're starting at the top, you're just going to wrap it straight on, and then you're going to wrap it at an angle as you go. And it's like wrapping a mummy. I think we did that for Halloween not too long ago, right? Now, you could glue as you go if you want to. I don't, because, you know, I like to adjust it and zhuzh it or whatever I need to do from time to time. So obviously do whatever works for you. And if you need to do this in sections, that's fine too, because then you can glue the pieces together. And I actually believe that the piece that I cut off and then I cut in half, yeah, I don't think it was quite 9 feet. But what I did was I wrapped it around one time at its full width. And then when I realized I had enough material, I cut it off from the roll, and then I cut it in half. And that's how I ended up shorting myself anyway. So that you could just go add some more if you need to. Now, I'm showing you this and I'm calling this a Dollar Tree DIY still because we're also going to make it in burlap, and I was going to show you how easy it is to spray paint the burlap. It's not easy to spray paint burlap. I mean, it's easy to spray paint it. It just doesn't cover. But you can paint the burlap. If you really want white burlap and you can't find white candy canes and you can't find white burlap at the Dollar Tree, I mean at Walmart. Oh my gosh. I'm having as much trouble doing the voiceover as I was doing this craft. If you can't find the white burlap at your Walmart and you really want the white look, you can paint the burlap, natural burlap from the Dollar Tree. You just are probably going to use a lot of paint. And by saying a lot of paint, the 8-ounce bottle of paint from Walmart is $2.50. So I'm not talking about $30 worth of paint. But still, it's more work and stuff to do. And I'll show you a bit of how that coverage looks in a few. But just go with it, play with it, and make it so it looks, nice to you. I was having a sort of a perfectionist day this day, when I was doing this the other day. And yeah, let's just say I edited out a lot of tries. A lot of ones that I didn't like. How's that? So now I'm just going to fill back in whatever didn't make it to the end, and we're going to create a new end for the bottom, just like we did for the other tip. Okay, 2 layers of burlap, lots of glue on the end, cover the end, and make the little slits up towards the make little triangle end so you can wrap it around. I'm telling you, I'm having trouble talking. Make the slits up to the circle, up to the pool noodle, and then use the slits to wrap the end up. I wish you guys could forgive me for where I'm at today. If I could even tell you the kind of day I'm having right now. Anyhow, now that that's covered, go ahead and finish covering the end of the pool noodle with your remaining burlap. And honestly, if I had hindsight being what it is, I would probably cover both ends and then wrap it start to finish. Yeah, I think that's what you guys should do. All right, and just be careful you don't burn yourself, obviously, all right? But what the end looks like doesn't really make a difference because you end up covering it anyhow, which works out okay. All right, now we're going to do 2 different candy cane designs, but of course there are many different candy cane designs. I don't know if you guys know that. Some have just a red and white stripe. Some have like red and white with little thin stripes along the way. Some have a thick stripe and a thin stripe. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a thick stripe and a thin stripe on this one. All right. Now you're going to finish it off just by basically going off the end, glue down the end, and then when you're done and it's all cooled off, you want to go ahead and trim it. Now, as far as the thick part is concerned, this particular one we're going to wrap with just a whole width of the Dollar Tree raw-edged red burlap that we got with our autumn haul. They still have it now. We were lucky enough to find it. Red is a color that they sometimes have, not just at autumn, but sometimes during the regular year. And this one we're going to wrap just as simple as that. And then we're going to glue the end down before we cut it. At least I think I'm going to. I want to. Okay, and once it's cooled off, now we're going to do is we're going to cut it in half widthwise. If you've been around for a while, we've done this lots. You basically, what I like to do is fold it in half, find the middle row, the space between 2 lines, and cut up that space between 2 lines. The Dollar Tree burlap is not always the straightest, so sometimes it would be like 5 rows of lines, and then all of a sudden it's 6 rows of lines, and then all of a sudden it's 4 rows of lines. So that's not the most important part right now. Is basically just cutting it in half, the remainder of the burlap in half, and then for this particular candy cane, we're going to cut the half in half again. And what we're actually getting is 2 rows of spaces, so 3 lines wide and 2 spaces wide. So it's like a line, a space, a line, a space, a line. or a string, a space, a string, a space, a string. How's that? Does that make sense? But basically, we just want it to be skinny. Now, another thought that I had for this is the red jute that comes out at Christmas time. I actually had red jute and I was going to do it. It just doesn't show up as well on the camera, but it looks really pretty on it at home. So what you want to do is you want to start across from where you started your full piece. And because this one is a lot thinner, you want to start it across from like the middle of the full piece. And the reason you want to do that is that's how you can guarantee it stays between the regular, the regular fat lines. It's how it's going to stay evenly between the regular fat lines. All right. Now we've stuffed the candy cane, the second one the exact same. This time I pushed it through a little bit more, so it has a little bit more of a hook. Basically the cane part. It just comes down a little bit more. But then I measured it to be as long as the other one, so I knew how long to cut it. All right. Now this one we're going to wrap in the Dollar Tree's natural jute. I think we ended up using a little less than 2 rolls of it because it's not as wide as the Walmart burlap. And in all fairness, this particular 2 rolls that I bought were like the only 2 that I could find, and they were kind of jacked up. They were very stringy and very loose, which isn't always how I found it in the past. A lot of times you get really good quality ones, but I just was in need of it and didn't have it, and finally found it, and basically I got what I got, to put it mildly. So my original thought was I was just going to wrap this in plain jute and I was going to spray paint it for you guys, to show you basically 2 alternatives to get white candy canes. It didn't spray paint. I don't know if the spray paint got absorbed into it. I don't know if it just went through. Like, I really don't even know. I can't even tell you how or why it didn't work. I'll be 100% honest with you. But after putting a coat of 7 coats of spray paint on it, honestly, it was about 3 coats of spray paint. I wasn't even making a dent. After putting a few coats of spray paint on it, I brought it inside and I realized that you can paint it with some apple barrel paint if you really, really want that white look. And in a minute, I'll show you just how it looks. I did like a test patch for you all. But because I told you need like 2 rolls of this, you will have to glue along the way, connect the 2 pieces. If you get your glue mat, you can glue the pieces together as opposed to ending it and starting it on the candy cane. But that's totally, again, up to you. You guys, I always try to teach you, like, there's really easy ways to do stuff. There's really permanent ways to do stuff. There's really temporary ways to do stuff. You know what I'm saying. So just like we started and ended the last one, we're going to do the same thing. 2 layers, cover the end, and then wrap over with the burlap. Now for this particular stripe that we're going to do, that one burlap roll that I had cut in half and then cut the 3 rolls out for the other candy cane, we're going to use the other half for the fat stripe, and we're going to use the other quarter for the skinny stripe. So you'll see here in a minute when I get started. And the other striping went on really rather quickly. So this one I'm just going to talk you through it a little bit better. So first we have to finish wrapping the bottom of the candy cane. So be mindful that this burlap from the Dollar Tree has got a more open weave. So what I tried to do was not glue 2 layers on at a time like I did with the other one. What I did this time was I tried to like take the layers and just offset them so that the holes were like filled in more. If that makes more sense. I don't know if it does, but hopefully it does. But we're just going to do it the same way. You're going to cover the bottom, cut up little slits, and go around. Just be careful because, like I said, the open weave will allow more glue to come through. All right. And now I'm just cleaning up all its stitches. Stitches, really? I'm giving it a haircut. How's that? So I wanted to show you without painting it. This is what it looks like. It's pretty natural. And it really looked like it was getting coverage at first, but nope, nothing. Spray paint, patted it dry, spray painted, patted it in. nothing. And it really looked like it was just making it dusty and old and faded. So I scrapped that. But here's what it looks like. There's a patch, and I'll show you up close what it looks like when it was dry. But you can leave it natural. You can spray paint it and then paint it. You could just spray paint it and get a dusty look. Whichever it is, whatever works for you. I just wanted to show you the different options, okay? So as far as wrapping is concerned, this particular ribbon was left on an angle, so I'm using it. I'm wrapping around, and doing the first primary stripe is fairly easy. Once you get it started on an angle, it'll naturally want to twist around, and it will naturally want to lay like flat and even. It's kind of weird that it works that way until you get to the bend. It's pretty simple. And you just want to make sure that it's laying flat along the way. And sometimes it could be a little bit more difficult for you, but other times, you get lucky. But here's where I wanted to show you how you can start the small stripe directly across from the main stripe. Directly across the middle of the stripe, you want to do the middle of this stripe. Does that make sense? And this way it will always land right in the middle of that space that's created by the first stripe. You guys got that? Okay. I'm sorry I sound like such a crazy person. If you want the stripe, of course, to be closer to the main stripe, then you can. If you, like I said, if you go ahead and use like the red jute to make the skinny stripes on both sides of the main stripe, just when you start it on the end, however you start it space-wise on the end, that's how it will continue to be throughout the remainder of the twists on the candy cane, okay? And this one, like I said, this is a half piece of the jute width and then a quarter piece. And it's probably a little bit more than a quarter because I only took the 2 rows off of the first time. So this one I think is a little fatter than the skinny stripe on that one. But you can see the 2 of them. So now I want to show you like everything you can do with a candy cane, you can do with these. So you want to make candy cane reindeers, you can make reindeers out of the candy cane burlap reindeers. You want to make the candy cane hearts, you can make the candy cane hearts. You can decorate them or leave them plain. So what I'm going to show you really quickly is how to make a hanger. Now if you don't want to make your hanger permanent, I just tied our little hanger that we always did, and I put a pin through the knot with the pin going up towards the ceiling, or what would be the ceiling. And when you see when I pull on it, if the weight of the candy cane pulls down, it actually makes the pin go in further, so it makes it nice and strong. So I'm sorry about the poor lighting, but here is just what they look like plain. And I have them on both sides of my window right now, even though I haven't decorated for Christmas yet. This is just to show you guys how they look across from each other. Now, when you get the candy cane wreath forms at the Dollar Tree, you could only get your candy canes to go in one direction. So that's really what my motivation for this was. I have a friend from YouTube 2 years ago who, when the candy cane forms came out, she wanted to hang them in her window, and they all would hang the same way. So this is where I came up with the motivation to make these. Now, I'm going to show you how to decorate them in 2 different simple ways real quickly. We're going to make a bow. And this is one of our easy bows that we've made before. We basically take a large loop of fabric, lay it flat, put a small loop of fabric on top of it, bend it into the shape of an M. We're going to put a kite tail on it, as well as the middle knot that we're going to use to glue. This particular one, I'm gluing a piece of jute underneath it to tie it onto the candy cane. And I'm just tying it around a already made sprig from the Dollar Tree. And I'll show you how you actually can take the sprig out and move the bow up and down to your liking. If you glue the bow on, then obviously it's permanent, but the way you do it like this with the jute, you can change it out. You can make it plain, or you can make it here pretty, how it looks with the pretty bow on it and some sprigs. And then you'll see later we actually moved it down. So I'll show you how it's adjustable. So as far as this one's concerned, I just wanted to make one of a cute little jute bow. a little Kelly Barlow inspired 3 or 4 string jute bow. Folded the jute in quarters. Just took a long piece and folded it in 4. Tied a bow around there and added the little clip sprigs from the Dollar Tree with the little bird on it. Isn't he cute? And here's how they look. And oh, I wanted to also show you, you can hang them straight up and down or on an angle like this, still without moving that hanger. So I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I really enjoyed doing it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share. Friends and family, anybody you know might be interested in making one or all of these or both of these. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe, and when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, you take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye!